Hey there, Rivermen fans. Welcome to another edition of the Dry Dock Podcast. This is the podcast where we take a look back at some Rivermen past and present, catch up with them, find out what they're doing in the off season now that the ship is in dry dock, and maybe even preview this coming 2023-2024 season. Our next guest bears the distinct title of not only playing for the Rivermen once, but now soon to be twice, and also being able to play against the Peoria Rivermen in the playoffs. Our guest this week, the pride of Richardson, Texas, Andrew Durham. Andrew, great to see you, my friend. Congratulations on signing back with the Peoria Rivermen. I know I speak for a lot of folks when I say we're excited to have you back in P-Town. How has it been? Are you staying cool? Because I know it's getting really hot there in Texas there this past month.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. I missed a lot of the people, including you, back there in Peoria. So it's gonna be fun. But yeah, staying cool, going to the lake a lot. Actually, the AC in the downstairs part of my family's house here went out today, so that was a major crisis. But it's fixed now. We're good.
That's good.
So we're good on that. But it was a little touch and go there for a second. But yeah, all good. A lot of lake time. As long as you got running AC, you're good to go.
Mostly swimming, or are you doing a little fishing on the lake too?
I'm a big board sports guy, so
Okay.
we're doing the wake surfing and all that jazz. I do love fishing as well. Um, Unfortunately, these days, especially, you have to get up at the crack of dawn to be able to fish and not be miserable. And I enjoy sleeping a lot, so I haven't been out too many times yet this summer. But
Yeah.
eventually, I'll go.
Yeah, because you and I were talking before the interview, and you were saying it's getting to be like over 100 degrees down there in Richardson. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I think Tuesday I was driving to the rink for a little training skate, and my truck was reading 108, and in Dallas, that's you can get that with 80% humidity as well.
Yeah.
So it's you're sweating.
Yeah, and the folks up here up north, we think it's miserable up here.
Yeah,
It's tough down there in Texas. But then again, you got to be tough to be able to live and survive down in Texas. Just ask yourself or J.M. Piotrowski. But Andrew, I kind of made mention of in the open, you have the distinct honor, I guess, if you want to say, or the distinct perspective, I think is the better word, of not only playing with the Peoria Rivermen, but also then playing against them in the playoffs. What was the process like of, signing back up with the Peoria Rivermen here for this upcoming season, talking with Jean-Guy Trudel and now Alec Hageman, who's stepping up to be an associate coach? What was that process like for you, and what went into that decision to want to come back here and play for Peoria?
yeah. I mean, playing against all the guys in playoffs kind of sucked, but um, just it was actually good for me to see it from the other side of things. Basically, if you're on another team, in order to beat the Rivermen, like you have to play your best game. And even if you do play your best game, you still have a chance of not winning, which
Right.
which is a testament to the organization itself for sure. So, Peoria is a great place to play, and Hags contacted me pretty quickly into the off season because he and I got to be friends, when I was playing there, and said that they would be interested when the time came to go ahead and get me back up there. And I have the utmost respect for Hags and for Jean Guy, and it was a pretty easy decision. I didn't necessarily get along super well with the coaching staff in Pensacola. He ended up retiring, but still, I wasn't planning on going back. So, um, you know, Peoria was a no-brainer. I missed a lot of the guys. I grew up with JM. Trevor and I got to be real close buddies. Allison's from basically one town over from where I'm from. I'm still working on Stella, and I've become friends in the locker room, but we'll get there eventually. And yeah, I mean, I just wanted to come back for the people. I missed a lot of the guys, and it was good. It was good seeing everybody so much at the end of the season because I did become close with a lot of the guys on the team. So
Allison's dog Stella now has a brother, right?
I didn't know that.
Everett.
Really?
Maverick is his name. I think he's bigger than Stella at this point. So I think you're going to have you're definitely your work cut out for and getting into the good graces of the puppers there.
Maybe that'll be my way in, because Stella was not sold on me, and we
Stella,
spent a lot of time together.
Stella's a sweet girl. She's very picky, I'd say,
Yeah,
about people that she allows to come into her orbit, but that's neither here nor there.
understand.
We love Stella. Andrew, you mentioned being playing against the Rivermen in the playoffs. We talk a lot about, the Rivermen system and how, Jean-Guy wants players to do certain things and help them have success. Playing against that system, though, what makes the Peoria Rivermen, like you said, a team where if you want to have any chance of being them, you have to play your best game. And even then, there's a chance you might not come out on the winning side. What makes Peoria and the way Peoria plays hockey such a difficult style to play against, speaking from your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So my first game with Pensacola was actually against Peoria as soon as I went down there, which was interesting. And just as like an example, I was playing wing in Pensacola, which I don't play wing a ton, but I was playing wing in Pensacola, and I was having to chase my defenseman that I was covering in the D zone, Kale List. I was having to chase him all over the place to keep on him, because that's your man as a winger in the D zone. And I mean, he's going below the goal line, behind the net, to the other side of the blue line, to one side of the blue line, back to the front of the net, and I'm getting gassed just chasing around trying to stay with my guy. Whereas you play other teams, you know, most of the time you're just standing there at the blue line next to the guy because their D are just pretty stationary and stuff. So that's just an example. But Peoria plays as a 5-man collective unit pretty much at all times, and those guys are all connected. And all of a sudden, a D man will score one backdoor, and you're like, how in the world did that just happen?
Yeah.
And a lot of the teams, some other teams do, but a lot of the teams in the league just don't have that. I guess that creativity, or just the connection that the five guys on the ice have. And I found it way easier to play offensively when I was with the Rivermen than any other time I've been with another organization. Just because the guys go where they're supposed to go every time. You know where there's going to be a guy, and if you get in trouble, you know where you can release the puck every time, to where you can regain control of the puck. And it's just so much easier on every player because of that, and so much harder on the other team because you can never get the puck. So if you don't have a puck, you can't win. So it makes it tough on every other team for sure.
Exactly. Puck possession, which is what Jean-Guy Trudel preaches all of the time. I think the complexity and the systematic play that you've described is a testament not only to Jean-Guy Trudel, but also to the players in that system. The players have to be able to execute, otherwise there is no system. And one of those players, Alec Hagman, obviously moving up to the coaching ranks. I've asked this of every interview that we've had here on the show, and I'll ask it of you, Andrew. Why do you think Alec Hagman will have the tools to be such a good coach here at this SPHL level, do you think? What is it about him that will help him really thrive?
Well, I mean, it helps that just he's got good character. I mean, just as a foundation, he's a good guy and someone that you can and speak to. He's a rough guy, but he's a good guy. And he's been there. Like he was just in the league. Last season, he knows what parts of it are tough and what parts of it are fun. When to do certain things, when to not. I'm sure he'll be good. He'll be able to read kind of the morale of the boys a little bit, which is important. And like I said, I consider him a friend. Obviously, I'm going to respect him as a coach, but he is a lot of our friends, and I think that's going to be advantageous for a lot of us, is because I think there's no one else that we'd rather really play for than a guy like that. Like I would want to win for Hags any day of the week. So I think there's an added motivation there as well. So I'm really looking forward to that part of it for sure.
Absolutely. I bet you're also looking forward to the Bucces beef jerky. I saw when you gave me that answer to the get to know the Rivermen signees, Bucces beef jerky. I have to ask, what is it about Bucces beef jerky? I've been to Bucces. I spent time in Texas, 3 years in Odessa. We'll get to that later, but I spent time in Texas. I know about Bucces. It's like Walmart marries your favorite trucking store, like Love's, and they have a child, and it's Bucces. I know all about it's hard to describe for people who haven't been there, but what is it about the Bucces brand of beef jerky, say over like Jack Link's beef jerky, that just makes it Andrew Durham's favorite meal on the road?
Well, it's the cleanest Walmart in the world had a baby with your favorite trucks. No, there's no cleaner place on the road than a Bucky's gas station. That's for sure.
It's true.
No, so I mean, I'm like a health, not like a health nut, but I try to be a pretty healthy guy.
Mhm.
Going there to Bucky's, and I mean, they got all kinds of choices and stuff. But you go up to that beef jerky counter, and it's all made right there. They got 17 different flavors. They got turkey, beef, chicken, all this different stuff, and on the road, that's like a super easy snack that's not like processed, that you can just stick in your bag in a Ziploc that doesn't go bad for a long time, and easy way to get some meat in you. And it's just, I think it's just perfect. And when I was playing down in Pensacola, they have those Buckies are everywhere. They're in Bama and Florida and all over the South down there. So we got to stop at those quite a bit, which is huge for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wish we had a Bucky's up here in Illinois.
that'd be a game changer for sure.
That would. That would. Does it also give you a little bit of like remind you of home a little bit when you get to go into a Bucky's? Because I know they're all over the
Well,
place in Texas.
100%, 100%. People are nice, and it's usually some kind of clothing that has the state of Texas, printed on it in some way, shape, or form. So it's or you see a few people with some cowboy boots on, and you're like, oh man, I'm back where I belong. So
All right, here's a business proposal. A Bucky's with an attached Whataburger.
that's a lot. That's a lot. I think they would honestly. I think they would hurt each other. I think it would pull too many people away from Bucky's, and it would pull too many people away from Whataburger.
Really, I think
You know,
it would be just money flowing
or it
through
might
that.
just be like a mecca. It might just be the center of the universe in Texas if you did that. I'm not sure.
Exactly.
It'd be something. It'd be. I think I would. I think I would avoid. I would have to avoid it for a few years because it would be so. It would be such a zoo there the whole time. It'd be so packed.
Absolutely. But speaking of you, Andrew, growing up in Richardson, Texas, and coming up through the Dallas Stars elite leagues and all that, what was growing up and starting a hockey career like in Texas, playing with those programs and really honing your craft to get to the point where you could play professional hockey and college hockey before that?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people think that like there's just zero hockey in Texas. Like I'll just meet some random person somewhere and they're like, "Oh, like what do you do?" And I say, "Play hockey," and then they hear I'm from Texas and they're like, "What?" And like I get that at face value, but I think in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, there's like 9 different rinks,
Mhm.
maybe 10, and like that's a lot. So there's like an opportunity to be playing at any time. There's so many options around here, and the Stars won the cup in '99. I was born in '95. I was just about 5 years old when they won the cup, so I was just old enough to like figure out that was cool. My dad watched it, and there was just kind of like a wave of players that started playing around that time, just because the Stars kind of blew up a little bit and opened a bunch of rinks around town.
Mhm.
And so before that it might not have been as big, but yeah, after that, there's tons of opportunity around here. I played house hockey at a rink just down the street from my house, and then just eventually decided that it's what I wanted to do and spend some more time on it, and took some lessons from some old NHLers and stuff that are around from the Stars, and the coaches in town here are all pretty good. I played for 3 separate coaches growing up that all played and were there at one point and know what they're talking about, and really helped me. And there's a pretty easy pipeline here to where if you work hard enough, you can make something of of the hockey career for yourself. It just kind of is what you put into it. But there's definitely opportunity here, and it's a non-traditional hockey market, but it's definitely a hockey market. So
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that certainly helps that is that you've got so many junior teams in the state of Texas alone, especially in the North American Hockey League. I mean, you have the Lone Star Brahmas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where you're at. You've got the Corpus Christi Ice Rays down on the coast. Amarillo, they're the Wranglers now. They were the Bulls back when I was there and back when you were in the Null briefly up in the Panhandle. And now you also have the El Paso Rhinos. And you also, Wichita Falls also has a team now. And you also have the Odessa Jackalopes, where you and I have a little bit of a connection there. You played there for 6 games, first jumping up from the Dallas Stars junior programs into actual Tier 2 junior hockey. I was there for 3 years for the start of my career. How was that for you going from a Dallas Stars, that Dallas Stars program to an in-state junior hockey team like Odessa, even if it was only for 6 games?
yeah, well, back then it felt like I was going to the NHL. I'd never played in an arena really before. And not a ton of my friends before me had made it to a level like that, so I didn't really know what to expect necessarily. No one in my family played hockey besides me, so I didn't really have anyone to base it off of. But it was a super good experience. Just got to hop in with them for the remainder of the year after my 18 and under season ended there. Odessa is a very interesting place, as I'm sure you can attest to. But learned a lot and learned. It was honestly good for me because I just got a tiny little taste, and wasn't necessarily make or break my career, just because their season was going to end either way. Their last place in the league, and I didn't know what juniors was going to be like anyway. And it made me realize, okay, these are men. I need to be able to play like a man next year when I show back up trying to play in the league again. And it helped me a lot. That summer took it seriously, and ended up figuring it out and making my way through the junior life. But yeah, Odessa, it's an interesting hockey market out there. It's the fans, as I'm sure you remember, you just get some rough oil field workers in their Timberlands and cut jeans and stuff, and it's an interesting place. But super grateful to start there, and I know I have a theory that I think every single junior hockey player knows somebody who went through the Odessa Jackalopes organization at some point in their career.
I'm not going to dispute that theory, because I think you're right. And one of the big things that I took away from Odessa, just in terms wow, you're not in Kansas anymore, white pickups as far as the eye can see. You do not turn your head and not see a white pickup truck.
Just utility vehicles. They're just driving them out to the rigs every day. Yep.
Up to the rigs and then out to the rink to go watch the hockey game.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you transitioned that junior career into a solid collegiate career at the University of Wisconsin Superior. How did that really prep you to jump into professional hockey, both at the ECHL and the SPHL level, to have the success that you've had?
I was super fortunate. The coach that I played in the Null for in New Jersey my last year of juniors ended up being a coach at Wisconsin Superior. And when I left the school I started at there my freshman year and was transferring to Wisconsin Superior, I went there obviously because of him. I was one of his captains in New Jersey, and we had gotten to be very close. So I knew I was going to a place where I didn't necessarily have as much pressure on me. I knew that he would play me, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like I was complacent, but I knew that I would get a good opportunity and a fair shake, because sometimes you don't really know what's going to happen when you're going to a new school or a new team. So that was a really good feeling. I was comfortable when I got there. I was comfortable with some of the guys. There were some guys that we had played juniors with that were on the team with that coach back in the day that had also gone to that school, so I knew them as well. So it was kind of not necessarily a homecoming, but it was just kind of stepping back into how things were with juniors. I knew his systems. I knew what he expected. I knew what to do, what not to do, all that stuff. So I just got to go in and settle in and play, which was really nice. The jump from Division 3 to the ECHL my senior year was a little long of a jump, because it's obviously faster. So I got to Norfolk and I was like, "Whoo, these guys are fast." I remember, since I hadn't been used to only dressing 3 lines of forwards, I remember thinking my first game in Norfolk, I was like, "Oh my god, like I'm dying. I need to be hitting the treadmill here. I'm not doing too good." But the Norfolk thing was kind of the same thing as Odessa. Norfolk wasn't gonna make playoffs. There was really no pressure. You could just go play. Unfortunately, COVID shut the season down. We had a lot more games to play that year, but they weren't playing for anything important, so there wasn't necessarily as much pressure. I was just really trying to get a feel for it and see what it took to be successful at that kind of level. So that was super good for me, and let me see kind of what I needed to work on in order to make sure that I actually have a career ahead of me. So I was super grateful for that, and the jump is definitely a real one. That's for sure.
Certainly so, but I'm sure it prepared you for the systems that Jean-Guy Trudel would be implementing with you here in Peoria. Andrew, last question before I let you go, because they're about to kick us off here. I've asked this question to all my interviewees, and you're going to be no exception. With this now being summer, what is your dream summer weekend vacation? You can go anywhere with anyone, do anything, but it's only for a weekend. What is your dream summer vacation for Andrew Durham?
Ooh, okay. So I just saw an ad for this the other day. There is like a cruise that goes from Miami to, I don't know, it's like the Dominican or something. It's just like a few days, not necessarily a weekend, but I think they do it in 3 days. So we'll call it a weekend. And it's like a musical festival cruise. And it's like Creed and Three Doors Down and like all these old, like, early 90s, late 2000s, rock bands. And I can't think of anything better than just being on a boat, listening to Creed and Three Doors Down. And I'm trying to remember some of the other ones, Fuel, and I think Third Eye Blind was on the list as well. Yeah. So that seemed like a dream to me. I'd be a happy man doing that for sure.
A musical Caribbean cruise for Andrew Durham. Andrew, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come talk to us. Congratulations on signing again with the Rivermen. We cannot wait to see you here in P-Town again when the season gets started.
Appreciate it, Robert. Good to see you, man.
Thank you, Andrew.